Do what?
Making the joke about I don't want my face in this, even though I don't care.
Oh. Okay. Good, it's recording. All right, cool. Just wait.
There's a lead. Got to get started.
Yeah, I mean, it's whenever you want to get started.
Okay, so it is after 6.
Alice, get out of the spot.
Okay. We've got hello, Parker and Thomas. Okay.
Awesome. Thomas isn't even required to be at this shit. Look at Thomas go.
Okay, so where do we go to share stuff?
Right.
Oh wait, I see it right there.
Do you know how to do it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So do I just click on this and then just open up the PowerPoint?
It should, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you had it. Like some versions of this you can. We'll like to record the computer screen.
Yeah.
Open systems preferences.
Yeah.
I don't have a. This is a Mac, right?
Yes.
Do you guys know that there's a game called the Black College Football Experience for the Xbox 360?
Would you?
Yeah. I don't know about the Black College Football Experience as a white man.
I got an ad for it on Instagram.
I don't know about the regular college football experience, but
I looked up gameplay. It looks terrible.
Yeah, we'll get started here in just a second, you guys. Sometimes there's like an ability to like upload the PowerPoint directly to Teams.
Yeah, there should be a way to do that too if I have to. But I just thought I could go through on here and do it and share it. Right?
I wish I was more technologically advanced.
Let me do this. Okay, share content.
Maybe it's the way we do it.
Yeah.
Maybe what about that one? Maybe we should do a standout. See if that does something.
No. What is content
Maybe a
only?
side by side.
Browse my computer.
Oh, but that's it. Yeah, there it is. Oh, perfect.
It's loading.
Yeah.
Is that what it normally looks like?
Mm-hmm.
I've not done this on here. Okay. Oh, cool. We're green screen. Nice.
Well, that might be a good or bad thing.
That's funny.
That is great. Okay. So let me just expand this for a second just so I can have full screen, be able to see you guys a bit better. Okay, so we're just getting this thing started?
Yeah, may as well.
Okay, and you're recording? Everything's recording?
Yep, we're good.
Perfect. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure everyone knows me, but to go ahead and just reintroduce myself, I am Jerod Sharp. I graduated in 2021. I was a treasurer while I was here. I know I worked a lot with you guys, not you, unfortunately, but now we're working together as an alumni. I'm also on the Alumni Advisory Board. I help advise on the lead sessions, and so now I'm here doing a lead session introducing you guys to Phase 3 as well as organizational development. So I always like to begin these things with a quote that they include, but I also want to make sure that y'all know that this is supposed to be very conversational. Like, I'm not going to go through like these slides and then like y'all just sit and listen, especially for the guys here. I kind of want there to be a little bit of dialogue and conversation too. So just to get our inspiration up, I'm on the way. How do I get rid of that?
That's funny.
Okay. I know. So the quote that I found is by Abraham Lincoln, and he said, "Whatever you are, be a good one." So Phase 3 is all about self-discovery in a way. Self-discovery and how you can help the chapter and a group and stuff like that. So whatever you are, be a good one. That could mean if you're an alcoholic, be a good one. Don't half-ass it. If you're gonna be an academic, be an academic. Have a 4.0. Don't half-ass anything. But Phase 3, let's talk about a bit of an overview because it's been a while since I've been here and I know a lot of things have changed. So really quickly, the first question I want to ask you guys, just kind of get your minds going, is what are some things you are looking forward to this upcoming year? Anybody that's present or online?
excited for Rush Week.
Okay, so Philip says he's excited for Rush Week. Why are you excited for Rush Week?
And I just really hope it has a really good turnout. Like, that's really what I'm excited for.
Excited for meeting new people, big turnout. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm excited to be treasurer in league sessions and be on EC and kind of have that.
Yeah, the opportunity of leadership roles. Thank you, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So what do you hope to achieve during this year in Sigma Nu as individuals? Something to think about, ponder on. Pierce?
Just be a good brother, be around more than I was last semester.
Okay, that's a good
Thomas
one.
have his hand up? Or
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Thomas.
I was gonna say, know more knowledge about us. We all had what we know. I want to know a little bit more. If that
Okay.
makes
Yeah. And if you want to know more, we have a lot of resources, and you can contact any alumni. There's a lot of the older alumni who have a plethora of historical research on the fraternity, and they can even teach you more than what you even find out during your pledgeship. So those are some cool ideas, some cool achievements that you'll have for yourself. But let's also, while we're talking about looking into stuff in the future, we also want to look at stuff that's happened in the past. So how do you think the fraternity has changed you since your pledge year?
Definitely feel like I'm more responsible.
Okay.
I feel more comfortable being in a leadership role than I did when I first got here.
Okay, so Philip was talking about how he feels a lot more comfortable with responsibility and leadership. So that's great. I'd really love to hear that. Anybody else? I'll also answer.
what was the question?
But how has the fraternity changed you since you've pledged?
Probably just more time management skills. I've developed a lot more time management and different skills to help me balance everything.
Yeah. So one way that I can say that I've changed is my pledge year, which has been a lot longer than probably anyone else's here. I used to be this kind of quiet kid who was underestimated and didn't really put myself out there very often. I played it very safe, stayed in my comfort zones. And coming to college, I definitely was not going to rush fraternity. And then, I got here, and a lot of the guys were wanting me to join Sigma Nu, and I did my spring semester, and I've been able to accomplish a lot. And I would have never been able to get out of that comfort zone if I had never pushed myself to get here. And so the fraternity kind of expedited that, and I was able to do a lot of fun stuff while I was in college. I could have done that without the fraternity. And so one acronym I want to leave you guys on this slide is called Yoga Whippy. Have you all ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, Yoga Whippy stands for you only get out what you put in.
Oh.
Yes.
Yoga. I'm gonna
So
put that
everyone
on
said
the
on the interview
question.
sheets.
Yeah, on the
Yes.
interview sheets, I'm gonna say Yoga Whippy.
Yes, Yoga Whippy.
Like,
The acronym is on this slide, so if you need to know how to actually spell it. But you only get out what you put in, so your fraternity experience is going to be majorly dictated by how much you put into it. So this is one of those things that if you just want to haphazardly be in it, you just want to be a member just floating by, sure, that's great and all, but you're probably not going to enjoy your experiences as compared to someone who was really involved, maybe had a leadership position, maybe helped with a committee, maybe planned an event. I know that Pierce planned a really awesome, when I was here, you planned that tournament with Mortal Kombat, and that was one of the funnest things we did that whole year because it was COVID and we couldn't do a whole lot. So that's just stuff that you have the opportunity to do that you wouldn't have if you weren't in a fraternity. So let's go ahead and keep on.
I'm so mad at you.
Me being mad. Oh,
He
Philip.
was the last person we needed to fill up the bracket, and I
Mhm.
never met him before. I was trying to get him to come so bad.
Yeah. So, we kind of reflected, maybe talk about some of our aspirations, but now let's go ahead and talk about a few things that you can expect as you continue on into phase 3. Let me make sure I have my notes available and ready to go. They are not ready to go because I logged me out, but that's okay. But the first one, oh, actually, my bad. This is the list of the sessions that you guys are going to be doing in phase 3. So the first one we're going to be doing is organizational development. We'll actually finish this one today, and then Ron will have a couple of other facilitators doing the rest. So we're going to start with organizational development. And why do you think that this is important for us to understand? Does anybody know what organizational development is? Anybody here? Anybody online?
Just probably learning how to be more organized with your daily life and be more responsible, I guess.
Okay, so as a unit,
Yeah.
a collective unit being more responsible. Any other thoughts on that? And it can be whatever you want it to be. Organizations are just as unique as the individuals that are in them. So after we kind of cover organizational development, we're going to go to personal development. And that lead session is all about helping you find out how you think, how your beliefs and your backgrounds and your cultures and your differences can all combine together to make something really beautiful. After that, you're going to talk about effective change. Effective change is going to be something that's going to challenge you a little bit, something that's going to help you, find strategies to instill changes in your organization, but also in your life. And I think we're at a time in the fraternity where we might need some changes, and I think we can all agree on that. And then you're also, because if you're in your third year, you're probably also kind of thinking about the next steps, I'm sure. Because I know when I was a junior, I was like, holy crap, I graduate in a year or two, and I've got to have my ish together because I'm about to be in the real world. I'm going to have to have a career and all that good stuff. So we're going to cover career development. Okay, so I think that's just as important as personal development, social development, emotional development. You also want to be prepared for your career. After that, they're going to talk about social change. So not only are we talking about effective change, social change, because Greek life is a social organization, right? And so one of the best things that we need to be changing is how we carry ourselves as a social organization. After that, we're going to move into ethics, which I know when Pierce was a pledge, we had a really great lead session on ethics and values with John Caden.
Yeah.
Remember that? So if y'all were pledges and y'all had lead sessions on ethics and values, kind of like that, but it's a little bit more, I guess, serious than how we did it when y'all were pledges. And then the last one is just simple problem solving. What can we do how can we use our own personal experiences to solve the problems we face in the day? So that is kind of something to look forward to, and it did it again. But today we're going to be talking about organizational development. Okay, so let's get right in here. So someone define organizational development for me.
Developing as an organization.
Developing. Okay, but let's dissect what you said though. You said developing an organization. So developing, that's present tense, right?
Correct.
So, an organization is a living thing that constantly changes. Does anybody else want to add to that?
Making the organization better.
Okay, how would you define better?
More, just
How do you see better in this organization?
like more responsible, more active, more involved, I guess, probably.
Okay, more active, more involved. Sure, Philip, since you're here.
I would say never being content, like with where you're at with the organization. Like always strive to make a positive change.
Absolutely. Philip said, avoiding, being content with where we're at, constantly wanting to get better. And, if you were to read about the success of, social organizations, other fraternities, sororities, complacency will lead to death of a social organization. It will lead to death. It's a hard thing to bounce back from. So those are really great definitions. Okay, so our lead guide tells us a complex strategy intended to change the beliefs, attitudes, values, and structure of organization so they can be better, so they can better adapt to new challenges and opportunities. So from that definition, what is the fraternity's current beliefs, attitudes, and values? How would what are some words you would use to describe those things?
Love, truth, and honor.
Let's go.
Okay. And I feel like that's a pretty generic answer in a Sigma Nu fraternity. Let's dig a little deeper. They can be negative. There can be negative things.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so it's on the screen, but it's this third question right here. What is the fraternity's current beliefs, attitudes, and values since we just dissected the definition of organizational development?
We're like a messy organized, not like a structural organized.
So a more messy organized than structural organized. Okay.
That's how I see it.
Okay.
I would say we don't seem like a very diverse group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you just look at a picture of all of us, but a lot of us come from very different backgrounds. And because of that, I like to think we're very accepting of anybody that comes in these doors.
Yeah. So a value that you have and belief that you have is acceptance of others. Okay. Any attitudes? Anyone want to describe attitudes that people have in the fraternity or their culture of the fraternity?
I think that there's a strong attitude, like a good structural attitude with the fraternity. Like all of us are like devoted, and like it seems like a lot of us are devoted to what we do. You know.
Okay, good. So devotion, acceptance. Any negatives that y'all can think of? Maybe there's some negative things that are currently in the chapter.
I would say that, and I have probably been at fault with this too, but I feel like at times a lot of us get very complacent or get very lazy with where we are.
Okay, yeah. So that could also deal with like a little bit of burnout too. You know, you do something for so long, it's like, whew.
Yeah.
You know, maybe some disappointments happen. It kind of, you know, dwindles that fire a little bit. So those are good answers. So here's another question. Are current policies and structures effective as far as your organization goes?
I think some are, and then some aren't. Like there could be things where I know that I've implemented like a thing that Seth did was whenever he was treasurer, it's like a certain amount. Like he said that it was like, you know, you pay $20 or whatever and you're good off of 30, 60, 90, where it's like in reality it's supposed to be like you pay the entire of your balance. So like I'm trying to like move that into a more comfortable zone so that we're still growing and we're not going to go like financially in debt, you know?
Yeah. So a little bit of a financial improvement possibly. Right. Okay. Anybody else online or in person? No? Okay, so maybe for the most part everything is effective. Maybe we can just build on top of it. Okay, so I meant to actually say, so, you know, organizations are living, breathing entities just as much as the individuals that are on them, okay? And as an organization, we don't want to just be something that exists, has members graduate, we get more members, and it's just like this clock going in a circle. We want to constantly, like we said, advance. We want to learn new things. We want to apply what we've learned. And now it's raining outside, so I'm going to have to speak up a little bit more. But we're constantly wanting to change in the better. So what that is a learning organization, a group of people able to learn from their experiences and apply it. So in order to reach those skill sets of a learning organization, two things must be present. First one is the organization must have the ability to match its design and structure to its intended outcomes. So what does that look like for y'all? On number one. Yeah, so the organization must have the ability to match its design and structure to its intended outcomes.
The people in the organization have to be like devoted to where we're wanting to go.
Okay.
At our end goal, basically.
So there has to be buy-in.
Yeah, if somebody's like, I want the chapter to grow, then it's like we have to all be devoted to growing the chapter, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So the second thing that must be present in order to get to the skill of a learning organization right here, the organization must be able to recognize when its desired outcomes have deviated from its initial direction and must take steps to correct the mismatch. Yes, so it's basically like you're able to recognize, acknowledge, and take action when you had a goal, but you've deviated from it.
Okay.
Has that ever happened?
I think so, yeah. I'm trying to think of an example.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'll give y'all an example. Y'all been talking a lot, answering good questions, and giving good answers to questions. So one thing that we had a desire was to have a 30-member rush one fall semester.
Yeah.
And so if you've ever heard of SMART goals, you want something that's achievable, it's sensible, you can do it. And we could have done it, but when we got to about 10 or 12, we became very content and complacent. And no one noticed that we kind of sat back and pushed us to keep going. So we could have even got even more guys if we had, people seeing and acknowledging that we've come complacent, we need to change our direction. So we weren't at that maturity level of being a learning organization yet. So that's just an example. So there's 5 steps for individuals to come together to create a learning organization, and here they are. The first one, way up here, is personal mastery. So what are some various aspects of the fraternity that you think individuals should know and understand?
What was it was like, what things that we need to know?
Yeah, what do you think that every member in the fraternity should have a good understanding of?
What we do. They need to understand like what it takes, like what we do, so that way they can either be like, yeah, I want to do that and I can do that, or they can be like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a part of this.
Okay.
They need to know like exactly what they're getting into before
Okay.
they get into it.
I would
Sure.
say that, but not just on the broad scale of like the organization as a whole, but when it boils down to each individual like
Mm-hmm.
leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
like having an idea of what each of those does.
Yeah.
Because we went through elections not that long ago, and some
Right.
of the people that stood up there, we started talking as if we already knew every little thing
Right.
that goes into our respective like leadership role that we were running for. So I think it's very important for people when they come in is to actually learn about those things at
Yeah.
a deeper level.
Yeah, for people to understand the various responsibilities for leadership roles, committee heads and officers alike.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Thomas. You had your hand raised.
I was gonna say, I know I kind of jumped the gun on it, but I'm like control of like your emotions, because I know I can get pretty pissed at some of them, but I take a step back. I'm like, it was just a slip up. I don't need to jump my gun about it.
Yeah. So we can have emotional maturity, social maturity. One thing that I also think that everybody should know, and something that I tried to do, was that people need to understand what our bylaws say. Those are the rules and procedures, and they're put there for a reason. And if no one ever reads it, or if members don't ever read it, they don't know how the chapter should be ran. They don't know the duties of officers. They don't know what happens when they don't pay after 30 days. They don't know how to make an amendment to the bylaws. They don't know what the committees are and what the responsibilities are. So that's just a small example of like personal mastery. The second one is mental and physical models. Okay. So physical, mental models. Mental is usually what happens, but you kind of make this like plan and this map in your head, and you have a tangible piece of evidence to kind of guide you along towards those goals that you set as an organization. So I think that's a big one that helped us when we were trying to get out of debt. When the fraternity was in debt, we built a plan, we put it on paper, we all agreed to the plan, we all bought into it, we had a physical copy, we had a goal in mind, and we were able to achieve that as an organization. So that's just a quick snippet, an example of what a physical and mental model can do for a learning organization. After that is building shared vision. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But what's something that you think the chapter could benefit? Like, what's a vision that you think everyone could buy into and it's going to be equally like accepted? Anyone online too?
I would say like probably like growing the chapter in general, like getting a big rush. Everybody can be like, yeah, we want a big rush and everything like that. So yeah. I agree.
Oh, hello, Pierce. So vision. So someone mentioned having a big rush. So how do you get to having a big rush? Like, it's one thing to have that vision, inspiring others to believe in it, but we also have to have the resources and the devotion to get to that point. The fourth one is team learning. Okay, I think this becomes a very challenging aspect in fraternities, because we have a lot of big personalities. We have a lot of different opinions. Like, I could think, Philip, you mentioned how, different you all are as individuals. And so that can become really, really hard, because you have some people who believe this is the best thing. You have other people who believe this is the best thing, and they want to conflict and, try to headbutt to see whose idea is better. So team learning, how do you think team learning would help overcome sort of situations like that?
It's not that you wouldn't still value your opinion more than somebody else's, but you would learn to accept theirs and kind of realize where theirs is more beneficial than yours, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You would just be very understanding about those kind of things.
Sweet. That really hit it on the nail. So, when you're in a social organization like this in a fraternity, you're all on one team, right? We can argue and we can play different, we can play different video games or have, different inspirations and goal aspirations and all that. But we're a team and we learn together. And so sometimes that means compromising. That means, talking rationally, overcoming our emotions, making sure that we're on the same page. And the last one is systems thinking. So if you're a computer person, this may make more sense to you, but systems thinking. So again, we want to see the organization as a living entity all of itself, and we are just basic parts in that living entity. You know, like I wouldn't be able to run in a straight line without the eyes that I have, even though my eyes aren't doing any running, you know. So everybody kind of has a part, and all those various parts come together to think systematically. You know, if you can take, sometimes you have to take emotion out of an organization to have that goal, reach that goal. So, you know, you can look more into that. You can Google it, systems thinking. But here's our 5-step: personal mastery, our models, building a shared vision, you know, coming to the ability, you know, gaining the ability to learn together as a team, and then thinking more systematically than, okay, we have to get this end goal and that's it, right? Okay, did it twice again for whatever reason. All right, and as we draw near to the end of this, hopefully you've gotten something from it, whether it's through dialogue or the slides. But let's ask a couple of questions just to think about. So the first one is, how have previous lead sessions impacted your experiences in the chapter?
Whenever we had a lead session and it was with a new person, like I feel like their experience kind of impacted all of us, because we're like meeting new people in the campus, and we're like, well, these people are cool, like, and they have like cool classes that they talk about, and like things, and you take new stuff and learn new things. Yeah,
so learning new things from new people that maybe you wouldn't have been exposed to before. Any other thoughts?
I would say one way like the lead session we've had has impacted me. It has less to do with the lead session itself and more when we have a lead session, like especially in person, and I see like almost everybody show up. Like,
yeah,
it definitely shows that like, okay, these people aren't committed. You know?
They're buying in.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that like gratifying, we're all in this together, and like we're all gonna have a good time and get to know each other. That was always one of my favorite things when a lot of people showed up to the lead session. And I'm sure that's also your favorite thing.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's a lot of fun when a lot of people show up. Okay, so let's go on to the second question. So what do you think the chapter needs to improve on to change the culture, if it even needs to be changed?
I think just like people look at mandatory things as like a thing that's like a shitty thing, but it's like, it's really a chance for all of us to like just hang out. Like we could be doing something stupid like working Talladega or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's the experience that we're having that just bonds us further as brothers.
Yeah. So maybe kind of changing the narrative that mandatory events like lead sessions aren't a punishment. They're an opportunity to get to know each other and even get to meet some really great facilitators like me. That's a great point. Yeah. Anybody else want to add to that? Anybody online as well? No? Okay. So Brian, I guess, hit it on the nail. Yeah. I think the culture of a fraternity changes year by year by year, because you have almost like a clock. We got old people going out, new people in. It's just a continual thing that happens. So the culture is always changing, but we always want it to hopefully stay in the rotation of something positive. All right, third question. How do we create a more productive environment as an organization? Asking the hard questions.
I would say it really just goes back to everybody kind of buying into the same things. Like, you don't have everybody in such different, like, scatterbrained directions where there's no real advancement being made.
Yeah.
Like having enough people towards certain ideas that they're working towards. And so even if it's inch by inch, you're getting there, whether instead of just being completely stagnant as an organization.
Yeah. So, I think that also has to do with convincing people to buy into it. You got to get people excited. You got to get them fired up about what you guys are doing. And I know sometimes that's hard, especially, I know post-COVID for me, it was like really hard to get back into like the really thrilled part of being in the fraternity. But sometimes you got to like overcome that and see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
If you take a step back and see the bigger picture, you get to see some of these alumni and what they did. It's a really exciting thing when you get a bunch of you guys all invested in one, and it's only going to end in something great. Okay, and so the last question for this lead session is, how can you as an individual catalyze an attitude shift? Does everybody understand what the word catalyze means? Just making sure.
No.
Hold people accountable, Pierce says. Go ahead, Thomas.
I was saying I don't understand what that word means, Jared.
Yeah. So catalyze is like basically the spark that starts a flame, you know,
Oh,
makes a change or, you know, makes something happen.
Pierce kind of hit it on the head, holding people accountable.
All right. Yeah. So how do we hold people accountable? What does that look like?
To the 30, 60, 90 plan, like with how we're doing, like if your GPA is below the required right now,
Mm-hmm.
or it was for the last semester, like you're on risk for all the parties, just anything like that, you know, like
Yeah.
even, I mean, I hate the idea of the being on risk, like I don't want to do it, but at the end of the day, like that's where I end up, right?
Yeah.
So it's just holding people accountable, making sure they know, like,
Mhm.
we're not doing this to punish you, we're doing it more because we care about you and because we care about the organization.
Okay, so let me twist that on you and play devil's advocate. How do you as an individual handle being the one held accountable?
I mean, I'm not gonna act like I handle it well every time. I feel like it's very different depending on the situation. But
Mhm.
like that, something like that, there are very few times where I'm genuinely gonna put up a fight because I know it's gonna end. The
Yeah.
way it's like, you know, it's not a punishment, but it's like, you know, my actions have consequences, right? So like,
Yeah, I think sometimes we as people want to become really defensive when we feel attacked or, you know, we feel uncomfortable with someone holding us accountable. So maybe part of the cultural shift and the person that catalyzes, you know, being okay with accountability is the one being held accountable for something and is the one that says, okay, you know what, this is the policy. This is something that I didn't do very well, and I'm owning up to that. So it's almost like the individual who shows that they can handle being held accountable shows other people that it's okay to be held accountable. It's okay to mess up, and it's okay to have to fulfill those necessities. And that just builds a healthier environment. So that's just something to kind of think about as you guys move forward. I think that's the last slide here. So not too long, not too horrible. I really hope you guys got something out of it. I wish it could have been more detailed and more people were here. We could have done more like team building activities. But thanks for the two that joined online. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to listen to me ramble about organizational development. You know, it's just my passions or whatever. And to the people that are joining later, watching the recording, make sure that you answer all the questions that were on these PowerPoints, or Ryan is going to send you 2 collections. That's what he told me.
Yep. It's
So
happening.
y'all better watch out. So I'm going to let Ryan take it away now.
All right.
Get out of the way here.
All right. All I can say really is thanks for you guys showing up. Thanks for the people who were here. Thank you, Jerod, for doing the lead session. We really appreciate it. It was really good. We're glad you made that PowerPoint too. I'm glad you were able to do that and everything like that. But we're glad that you took it out of your time to do it. I mean, really, just like you said, answer the questions. I mean, y'all just text me the answers through like my actual text. And yeah, but that'll be it. All right.
Go Cox.
Go Cox.
God.
Follow that survived.